Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening from wherever you're joining us today. My name is Zach. I'm one of the team members here. I'm going to be assisting mostly today in my capacity. You won't see too much from me, except maybe in the chat and in the Q&A box. But just to go over that, we do have both our chat open and the question and answers section open. If you guys can keep questions specific to Nova in the Q&A, we'd really appreciate that. It's a lot easier for our team to get at those. But if you do have them in the chat, we'll do our best to address those there as well. With that being said, the chat is open to everybody. I've seen everyone already kind of chiming in from where they're from, and thank you guys so much for that. But please feel free to chat amongst yourselves in the chat. Our team is there monitoring stuff. So again, if you have questions, we'll do our best to answer it. But if you put any of your big questions in the Q&A box, we'll do our best to address a good chunk of those at the end of the session. And of course, anything that doesn't get addressed today, we will absolutely have an answer for you after the webinar. Might not be tomorrow, but it will be coming.
Thank you, Zach. And I do see a couple people raising their hands. So we're going to have a dedicated Q&A portion at the end, where we're going to primarily go through the questions that have been entered into the Q&A box. So please go ahead and do that at any time, and we'll review it towards the end of the session. And yes, we are recording, and we'll be posting this to our community as well as our website and sending it out via email. Right. Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Halle Astorbetti. I'm co-founder of ClubRunner. I'm joined by Sarah Astorbetti, who's also my sister.
Hello.
And Zachary Woods is our lead product specialist, and he's assisting in the background. And we're really excited to have you joining us today for a first glimpse into the new ClubRunner, which we just announced a couple of short months ago. We've been working on it for a lot longer than that, but we just started announcing it recently. And what we're going to be covering today is I'm going to actually just go over just a few recent updates and product news that you may have missed that were just announced May 1st, which was the kickoff of our changeover sessions. We're going to just reiterate a little bit about our vision, and then we'll try not to spend too much time on the slides, and we'll actually try to get into the demonstration. And then at the end, we're going to talk about what's next next on the horizon, and go into our Q&A. So we'll start with some recent updates. There have been a lot of changes happening over the last few months to a year, and I'm just going to walk through them very quickly. We do have an entire webinar that we did on just the recent updates that was part of our changeover on May 1st, and we're happy to share that recording. But in case you missed that, I'm just going to go through them quickly here. So the mobile app saw a lot of recent updates over the past few months. One of them is the message broadcast. So if you haven't used this yet, I encourage you to. This is where you can send a push notification to all of your club members or all of your district executives. They're going to be able to kind of acknowledge it with a like, and you'll be able to see who did that. And it's sort of a nicer way of kind of sending a really impromptu message. We also introduced the ability to edit profiles. So a lot of times, day-to-day members are not logging in. We're going to try to do our best to address that, but they're using the app to do more. And so we added the ability to edit their profiles. And of course, all of this, at least for the supported fields, is integrated with RI. There's an updated navigation menu that will show you everything that you're able to do, whether it's for your club or for your district. There's a member search that allows you to search across the entire district as well. And you'll notice a lot of different, launch points for things like your club donations, your district donations, your attendance, being able to view your club stories, and so on. Also new is the all events listing. So this is going to show all of the club events across the district, as well as the district events. And it's a really nice way to know what's happening. And if you do have registration or volunteering enabled, those buttons will allow you to click through and be able to complete those tasks right from the mobile app. We also added recently foundation recognition, and this is pulled directly from the RI database. So this is not stored locally on a copy on ClubRunner. And this is going to allow you to see what your Paul Harris level is, what your various, actually what your recognition points are. So you know what your balance is, what you have available to you, as well as your status for some of the annual programs like Paul Hare Society, Sustaining Member, and Every Rotarian Every Year. And then of course, at the very bottom is a button where it will take you directly to the donation page on Rotary International's website so that you can go ahead and make a donation. We also introduced a donations module, which is what allows your club or your district to create your own campaigns. I'm actually going to be demonstrating a little bit of that tonight. And what this can do is on your ClubRunner website, you can create a ready-made donation page that features a variety of different campaigns that you can customize with your own imagery, name, description, and then you have some options available to you if you want to show how much was raised, how many donors they had, if you want to enable comments that people can add with their donation. And that's something that we're really excited as being very well adopted, but of course there's always more clubs that can take advantage of this. Cloud events is also something that we launched, and I'm going to be demonstrating this as well today, but this is the new, the latest and greatest events module on ClubRunner. This is eventually phasing out My Event Runner, and it will overtake Event Planner as well once it has more of the RSVP functionality. But right now, this is a way for you to create tickets, products, add-ons, donations, and then be able to have, collect a form of questions. You can create conditional questions, and it all ties in nicely with your member profiles. Rotary integration is also something that saw some really important changes. TrueSync, which is the two-way integration, was rolled out last year, and a lot of clubs still haven't gone in and enabled it. Districts can enable this on behalf of clubs, but you can decide what fields you want to be able to write back from Rotary. So if a secretary or a member did go into My Rotary and make the changes directly there, you'll be able to receive this information back to ClubRunner. Email link tracking is also something new. Now, this wasn't enabled by default on all accounts for various privacy reasons, depending on your jurisdiction, if you're allowed to track the behavior of certain users. So we didn't enable it by default, but if you do want to have it, you can have it across the board for all your emails, or you can enable it just for the specific email that you're sending. So I think this is something that that will definitely help you figure out, like, what is getting engagement and what is not as much. And this is just an example of district bulletin that went out, and you can see how many clicks every link received. You'll be able to drill down and see who clicked those links and really be able to get that information. Universal login is also something that we did to try to help a lot of cases where we found that members are struggling to kind of figure out how to log into ClubRunner. And I think that the secret is really not knowing where to go, how to find the club website or the district website, or sometimes they're looking for their club's website and they end up on the district. And so right off of clubrunner.com is our universal login page. And it will allow you to log in, and then from that screen, specify all of the different accounts that it found for you, whether it was a club, district, or zone. And then you can just select it and be on your way. So it's not replacing the existing login screen. That is still going to be off of your main website, but this is something that's being added in addition to. And I'm just running through these very quickly just because we already covered it in another webinar, but I just thought it would be nice to just repeat it in case you weren't able to attend that one. Another thing that we announced a month ago is we've integrated with the Membership Action Plan, which is a membership tool that was developed by Rotarian Terry Weaver that pulls in some information according to what RI has, and just gives you some really nice analytics and metrics to help you better understand how many members you need to attract, taking into consideration attrition rates, and so on and so forth. So this is now available on ClubRunner, and it's available on both the club and the district systems. And then we also announced some product changes, and this is really being done in advance in anticipation of Nova being the newer platform that allows us to really have less constraints on, data and bandwidth and things like that. So we're really excited that we made some really great announcements a couple of weeks ago. So I'll just go through these now. So Cloud Events was originally sort of out of beta, and now it's generally available, and that's part of your standard and light packages on club and district sites. And as I said, My Event Runner will eventually be retired. Cloud Events really is a replacement for it. We're not going to just remove it overnight. We're going to set a target date sometime in 2025 and send lots of emails and communications. But we really encourage you to use it because there's no per registration fees for using Cloud Events. We're also excited that we announced new payment providers, and we're continuing to expand this. But PayPal is available to any club in the world as long as they support the currency, as well as Stripe. And Stripe is actually available today for Cloud Events and donations. We just haven't announced that it's fully available because dues is being worked on right now. But if you wanted to get going with a Cloud Event and connect it to a Stripe account, you can do that today. And please contact our support team if you want any help or want any instructions on how to get started. So one of the goals we have with ClubRunner and Nova is to simplify not just the interface and making it seamless and intuitive, but also with the product offerings. So we're also doing away with some of the enhanced modules that we've had in the past. So that would be enhanced committees, the volunteers, barcode scanner. And so if that module is part of your package, you will get all of the functionality. We're not going to be, sort of slicing and dicing the functionality so that you can take advantage of everything that it offers. We also announced that package limits are also lifted in Nova. So again, this is a constraint that was made possible because of the older technology, but now that we don't have these constraints, and with a lot of the serverless functionality that we have, this is something that you won't have to worry about going over your email credits, contacts, and document storage. But to be truthful, we actually never really monitored it very closely. I mean, usually if a club was going over with their email credits, it would have to be really, substantial, and we would probably want to speak to you about best practices so that people stop deleting your messages. So we just wanted to mention that that's not something that you'll have to worry about for much longer. And then the ClubRunner banner ads are also going to be retired effective July 2025. So when ClubRunner started 20 years ago, this was a great idea. It helped us subsidize the costs of the service. And this is something that we want to give full control back to the clubs and districts on your website. So those are going to be retired next year. But your own sponsor ads that you're hosting and you're charging those in your local community to have an ad on your website, that is still going to remain unchanged. We're not touching that. This is just the ClubRunner ads that appear on the bulletins and the websites. So I'll move on now to Nova, and I'll see, Sarah, if you wanted to just remind us of what we're here for today.
Yes, I'm sure everyone wants to get to the good part and see a live demo of Nova. So when we first announced it a couple months ago, it was, that was when we initially announced it, but we mostly just had some screenshots, but we're really thrilled to be able to, it's still a work in progress, but we are really happy to be able to actually show it to you live so you can actually get a sense of what Nova is going to look like when it rolls out later this year. And just kind of a recap of what our focus is. Why did we come up with Nova? It's really time to modernize the system. Times change, things change. And, we've been listening very carefully to all the feedback that we've received over the years. And, we've kind of prioritized what are the main things that people are looking for. And, as well as advancements and, improvements in technology that's available to us. But user experience is a big part of it. It's as ClubRunner has grown, it's gotten bigger and bigger, and the menu's gotten bigger and bigger, and it's gotten a bit harder to navigate than it was initially. And also there's just been so many, there's data all over the place, and we really want to streamline it and make it easy so it's less overwhelming, especially for new members. And then we also wanted to make it more flexible and configurable. A lot of that configuration may not be available from day one, but the platform is designed from the ground up to make it more flexible, and then you can customize it and really fine-tune it to the needs of your club or district. And then, of course, Halle already mentioned the mobile app. That's going to be seeing a lot of expansion going forward. And of course, always keeping up to date on performance and security. The new platform, is actually also a newer platform that, will have some performance enhancements. And of course, security is also very important to make sure that the data is secure. So yeah, so what were the goals? First and foremost, we want to make it easier to use, especially for new members. They get very overwhelmed. We heard when people first get, when they first log in. And you want to keep members engaged and active on the platform. So Nova will not just be for the administrators or the club officers. We want this to be a platform used by all the members in your club or district to do their day-to-day work and to access their information, member data, register for events and things like that. And of course, the navigation menu, you'll notice, has been shrunk dramatically. So it's the navigation hopefully will be a lot easier than that. And just simplification overall in terms of data. And a really good example is before we had members, other users, contacts, friends, and there were all these different places, and very common for people to ask, well, where should I put this person, or where do I put a donor? So that has all been consolidated. So it's all going to be one big database with all your different categories as much as you like. And of course, the events module is going to be unified as well. So Event Planner and My Event Runners are going to eventually be phased out and replaced by Cloud Events, which is the new system. Okay, so next slide. Yes, Halle, maybe you want to, we'll switch back to you for the demo.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, and I think there's been some really good questions and chat that I'm seeing in the Q&A, so I'm really happy to see that. And I'll just resume my share here. Okay, so nothing's going to change as far as the website initially. So I know there's a lot of people who are concerned about training their members and, getting that, new instruction out there. So we'll make sure that this isn't going to happen overnight, but you would continue to go through your website. And when you go into the member area, that is going to be the first time you're going to see something different. And when you first come into the member area, as a member, you're going to be presented with your member dashboard. And this is kind of like the landing page where at a glance, I can see my card, sort of some of the highlights. I can quickly go in and edit my profile. But then underneath that, we have an announcement area, and that is customizable. So if you're on a club site, your club administrator can change this content. And then if you're on the district, same thing. So this is where you can put little things to keep members up to date. And then underneath the announcements, you're going to see your information and the club information, a few things like my attendance, some help articles. And then if we go back up here to the right-hand side, we wanted to make it really easy for members to see everything that they're committed for, in the next few weeks. So we've got my commitments front and center. That's going to show you everything that's got a date associated with it that you've committed to, whether it's a club meeting, a volunteer sign up, whatever it may be. And with these quick links that take you directly to that page. After that is when you're going to see your tasks. And this is something that's new in Nova. We sort of had it in the new member program, as well as obviously volunteer tasks, but this task module is going to be expanded and centralized and be leveraged in many different modules. And then the tasks can also have due dates, they can have statuses, and they can have a lot of roll-up reporting. We'll take a look at that a little bit later on with the member onboarding. After your tasks, you'll see your committees. Again, a hot link going right into the community that you belong to. And then we want to make it easier for you to access some of the great resources that Rotary has. So this is actually something that just came out of an idea that came out of a meeting a few weeks ago, but just having a link to my Rotary and the Rotary Learning Center. The Learning Center has phenomenal resources, and a lot of Rotarians may not necessarily be aware of it. So we want to help, bring that to light a little bit more and make it a little easier for people to find everything that's available. So this is what a member's landing page looks like. And I just wanted to kind of preface this by saying everything that you're going to see tonight is sort of initial drafts. We really want to get your feedback. If you haven't joined the beta group, please do so. I'll make sure to put up the page at the end of the webinar and the link to sign up. We'll be doing much more frequent communication with the beta groups to get even more detailed feedback on a lot of what you're seeing today. So if you're an officer, you would see a different dashboard, and this probably looks a little bit familiar. It's based off of the current dashboard that you know in ClubRunner today. So it's a similar type of concept where all of your modules are grouped. We did get a lot of feedback that it was very long and it required a lot of scrolling. So we're very much open to some of the other enhancements that we could now do on Nova, whether that's collapsing areas or even creating a compact view. And then in here, under where the website area is, we also have links to the brand center. Again, great resources. There's going to be a lot of initiatives in the next few weeks to clean up a lot of outdated logos, and we're going to make sure to do our best to work with Rotary's branding team to clean all that up. But it's also a great way for clubs to access some of the resources that exist out there. So that's just a link there at the bottom, but that gives you the idea of what it is that you can do. So as Sarah mentioned, we're no longer having a horizontal menu, but we've got a left menu. And we want to really simplify the navigation. So as you can see, you can expand any of the areas here and be able to access the tools available. And again, this is the first iteration. This isn't the final version by any means, but this is going to be how you would be able to access the main modules. So why don't we take a look at the members list? And this is something that's a really big focus that we wanted to do. As Sarah mentioned, we have so many silos in ClubRunner today in terms of do I put the person under a member, another user, an honorary member? Are they a contact? And then with the membership success, we introduced prospects. So we're really excited that a person is a person record, and that's it. And whether they're a member or a past member or a future member, they just sort of get added to the system. They have a lot of connections and a lot of data that goes as part of it. And then you would just kind of keep building on that profile as they go through the journey of, being part of your club or your district or anything like that. So one of the things you'll notice is a lot of search parameters. And again, we're still finalizing all of this, but you can see I can search for member type. So if I want to just say, I just want to see satellite and corporate members, I'll just click here and go to search. And then it'll be able to show me these people here. I can also expand more filters. And again, this is something that we're looking at customizing further, but just to give you an idea, if you wanted to really make a lot of filters, you could do that. And then I'll just reset it here. So if I wanted to go ahead and take a look at a member, we'll take a look at Grace Allen, and this is a person's profile. She happens to be a member. And this is the new profile view. So across the top, this is what we call our tile area. You're going to see at a glance sort of the most important things that should stand out for this person. Quick link to their email, their phone number. These are the newly designed designation logos. So if you hover over it, you'll be able to see what they stand for. And then we also have these tags that are new, and these tags span across contacts and members. So you don't have to, again, decide and worry about which bucket you're putting someone into. You can go ahead and tag them, whether they're a member or a contact. And then you'll notice that we still have the tabs available, but everything is sort of broken down into these different panels. So a lot of the same familiar profile fields with introduction of some new ones. Now, the next tab I want to go into is the communication. And this is going to allow you to see all the emails that were outbound from ClubRunner that went to this person. And you'll be able to access their stats as well. If you wanted to take a look at what that email looks like, you can just hit view and you can see what it looked like after it was mail merged for that particular user. And then the nice thing is a member can see this themselves when they log in and go to their profile. So if they wanted to, you can also resend that particular email. So you don't have to wait until the person's, you don't have to go to the email module and resend just to one person. You can just use the resend function there. The next tab is Rotary. So this is where you would come in and be able to find your ID. So the date you joined Rotary, the date you joined the club, your Rotary member designations are found here. Officer history, as far as ClubRunner has, will be found here. Club attendance, and then this is the data from Foundation. Then we have our biography tab. And this is where you can define your club biography and your biography for district. And they could be different or they could be the same. And that would be what appears on those directories and the mobile app when we open it up on the mobile app. And then next we have commitments. So again, very similar to what we saw on the home page, except this time it's sectioned by module. So I'm going to be able to see all the events that I've registered for under my events, my current committees, my meeting responsibilities. This is like the duty roster, the new member program, and volunteer tasks. So this is, and also the tasks regarding programs like the new member onboarding that's new. So anything that you want to see that's relating to your commitments can also be found here. So very similar to what we have today, but a little bit expanded. And then we have the privacy and settings. This is where you would go to manage the username and password, and you can see some system details on when that record was updated. But we've presented the privacy settings in a little bit of a nicer view in here. So for both the club and the district privacy settings, you'll be able to manage what you want to show and also be able to see a preview. So let's just say I don't want to show my home address for the district directory. I'm fine with the club, but I don't want to show it for my district. I would just edit that and I would say no for home address, and maybe I don't want to show my birthday. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then that's going to update my settings, and then I'll also update the preview so I could take a look and see what that looks like. So now it's no longer showing that information. The next tab is financials. So this is a tally of pretty much any financial transaction that this person has had through ClubRunner, whether it was an event registration, a membership invoice, a donation. That's all going to appear here. So you'll see the order history. So everything, this is the new financial module that's in Nova. Everything is at the end of the day an order, and I can always click through. And if we want to just take a look at this one here. So this happens to be an order from Cloud Events. I can see what the invoice items were, who the ticket buyer was, and the attendees if that was the case, as well as all of the payment details. So in this case, there was an invoice for $625, and then there was a payment. And this is where you can also do things like view, refund, email an invoice, view the PDF or print it, anything like that. So I'll just go back here to the financials. And then if you wanted to see absolutely all invoices and payments for this member, regardless of which module it was done in, that's also going to appear here. And again, you can see the status, whether it was paid or not. You could always go in and you can view the details. You can also, view the PDF or print, or you can also log a transaction. So if you want to log a check payment or anything else, you could do that here, and that will instantly go into their financial transactions. And then lastly, we have notes. So this is something that's available again for people in general, whether they're a member or they're a prospect or contact. And this is where it's kind of like admin only. That's why we have the lock there. And you can kind of track the different things that you want to track about them. So it just helps keep some of that information in the club year after year. And you'll notice that I also have some action buttons here at the top. So we have the ability to sort of have like actions on each record. So if we want to send them an email, send them the login link email, send them an account statement, change their status, we can do that here, or just send a single email. We could do that as well. And that's, you know, just to make things a little bit easier. So you don't always have to go into a module to do something. This is also where you can access the activity report. So this is something that's available today in ClubRunner, but it may not be well known because it's hidden under reports. So one of our goals is just to make data as accessible as possible where it makes sense. And you'll be able to go in and take a look at all the activity relating to a particular member and have a really good idea of what their engagement is like. We also have a really similar report for the club called the Club Activity Report. And I was just showing it to a DGE yesterday. And I was like, this is the one you pull up as you're, you know, in your car on your way to your club visit. So you can kind of get an idea of what the club is up to. Yeah, so that is a quick summary of the new profile. And you can see that I was under members, but you can see it's a very similar idea for contacts. Now we happen to show less data because usually contacts, you're not going to have photos for everyone or as much information. But again, this is something that we can change based on the feedback that we receive. And I can do searches by categories. So if I want to see who are all the donors and sponsors, let's take a look here. And I can do a search. And that's going to pull up right away. The nice thing as well that you'll notice we can do with the system is what we call bulk actions. So let's just say I did a search and I'm like, okay, that looks great. I'm going to select everybody who was part of the search and I can do, let's say, an edit. So I want to change, you know, everybody's category and add friend to that. I can go ahead and add that as a change. And let's just say, you know, biography, whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so this ability to bulk edit is available for most records like contacts and members. And if I click apply changes, it'll go ahead and make those 2 changes to all 66 entries that I selected. So very, very easy to do things quickly. I can also, if I wanted to, you know, I could email all of these people in one shot. So again, not everything has to be going through the email module. Sometimes you just want to send a quick email from the club and just say, hey, you know, don't forget to come to our next meeting, and all of the familiar attachments, scheduling, and all of that is here. But it's sort of an ad hoc email. And all of these are still also appearing under their communications tab. So you can always see what was sent out and also the statistics. And of course, exporting to CSV, you'll see that peppered throughout, and you'll be able to do that, you know, for virtually anything that you can think of. Okay, so I'm going to move on to reports and analytics because it's sort of the next logical step. And one of the things that we wanted to do with Nova is present information in a lot more visual way. So because we have all of this data now in a very unified way, we can present it through a variety of dashlets, reports, you know, pre-filtered reports that let you drill down and get to that information right away. So you're not really digging. You don't really have to go and try to find what it is that you're looking for. So I want to see, oh, we've added 3 new members in the last 30 days. I want to be able to click through to that and be able to get to that information. So this is still the same member list. And all that did was put in that date range for me. But the nice thing is, I was able to access it with the click of a button. I didn't have to go digging for it. So we have a variety of different reports and analytics, and the membership is one of them. And you'll notice that we try to put all of the key numbers at the top. Again, you can always click through, or some of the demographics are here and you could always click through to them. So this is really just, again, like I said, the first version of the analytics dashboards. And I'll walk you through some of the other ones as well. So we tried to create different categories depending on what the topic is. So in this case, email and privacy. If you just want to get a handle on who's opted in, who's opted out, be able to have quick links to the email traffic, the blocked email reports, you would find that here. And then next is engagement. And this is something that's going to grow as the program module grows. So in this case, we can see a lot of different things like, the login activity, who's logging in and who's not. We have some reports, so you can see who's attending events, who hasn't attended a certain event. You can also be able to drill down contacts by categories, and then also be able to quickly see missing data. So these are the ones that are initially here, but this is certainly going to continue to expand. But making it easy for you to, check your data and see what is missing and how to improve it. And then we have the financials dashboard. So this is using the financials backbone of Nova. And so you'll see everything gets categorized into dues, events, products, or donations. And the products are currently available in Cloud Events. But this is a really nice way to just see the revenue that the club has, at least from the perspective of what you have on ClubRunner. And be able to keep tabs on, is there any overdue balance? Are there amounts owing? How does the revenue break down between all of these different things? And then being able to click through and access those reports very quickly. So in this case, this is showing me all of the product sales that happen through the system. These are the order numbers. You can go straight to them or to the invoices, and you can always export this information. And you can also do further filtering. So if I just want to see it based on certain events or certain products, I can do that and I can update the results. So this is going to be very, very useful for your treasurer in trying to get a handle of what's happening with the finances. And then the programs, I wasn't sure if we were showing this, Sarah, but just wanted to share really quickly actually, Sarah, are we showing this or no?
We can show it. Yeah, we can show it briefly, but it's new
still
member
in progress. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still in progress, so take it with a grain of salt. But essentially, this is kind of going to be an evolved version of the new member program that we had in ClubRunner currently, but it's going to be expanded to have task management. And of course, this is going to be one of the many programs and projects that your club will be able to do. So even though this is member onboarding, there will also be other programs that you can have. Member onboarding is similar in membership success in the sense that this is really part of when new members are joining the club, your club or district can set up a series of tasks and milestones and objectives to really get that member properly integrated with your club. So this can be shared amongst all the club members, and then you'll be able to have a check-in call and set it up, and then that shows up on their commitments as well. So we're really excited about this feature, and we'll definitely show more details as it progresses, hopefully maybe at the next webinar.
Perfect. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to show is the communication, because this is probably, after the website, is probably the next most used module in ClubRunner. And, as you know, we have the bulletins, we also have the emails. So we wanted to have a great landing page to help you kind of see at a glance everything that has been sent out through the system, have the quick links for getting into your bulletins, getting into your email traffic reports, and also your email template. So this is something that is going to continue to be a big part of Nova, is having really nice email templates that you only have to define once and they will just populate throughout the system. So if I wanted to go into the email system here and compose a message, this is something that is what we call our new email UI. It's been enhanced from the previous version. And the biggest, I would say the biggest thing that is different with Nova is the use of smart lists, what we call the segments. It's just taking a little moment here to load for us. Okay, so if I go ahead and compose a new message, I'll just show you what that new email UI looks like. So right here, we've got the new editor. We can start typing content in. This looks very familiar, but then you'll quickly and easily be able to access all of your templates. And, if you wanted to just view them, you can take a look. And this is all going to be set up with some nice defaults using your club logo. So you don't have to go in and create them from scratch, but you can change them. And once you do change a template, then it will automatically populate and be there, and you won't have to worry about continuing to change it for going forward, especially if there's someone else in your club that's going to be using the system. So you just go in and make the changes here as you normally would. And then if you wanted to add fields, that you would go to the next tab over here in this right panel. So again, a lot of fields available to you. This is probably going to be filtered down to some of the things that make the most sense. Right now it's pulling absolutely everything. But if I wanted to just insert the join date, I can do that. Or whatever it may be. And then when it's time to select your recipients, this is where things are going to get really fun. So currently in ClubRunner, everything is hard-coded as far as the groups that you can send to, with the exception of the custom distribution lists. But with Nova, what we wanted to do is put the power in your hands to create whatever segments make the most sense. So if I go to add smart lists, you'll notice that this is just some examples that we have here. So the active members by category or by member type. We can also do contacts by category. And then because everybody is just members and contacts are just people, we can also just have everybody just as selected. But then you can also create things like what we have here, members who haven't logged in for the past year, or members who've never logged in, or new members this year. So again, these are the same smart lists that are driving the dashlets that we saw on those analytics pages. You can repurpose them and use them in your email. Same for past members. And the nice thing is, as it always is, if you're selecting multiple groups and somebody's part of all of these groups, of course, they're only going to get the one email. So let's just, maybe I don't need to add so many, but we'll just go ahead and add these smart lists. You can still tailor who you want to receive it. So I can still go in and say, you know what, I'm going to unselect certain people and, tailor that how it, but we recommend that you create the smart list accurately. So you don't have to do that, because you can also add individuals. So this is like a copy feature. So let's just say I wanted to add Grace Allen, and go ahead and add her here. And she's also going to be copied on this email. And then you'll notice we're introducing exclusion lists. So let's say you want to make your life really easy. Say, okay, I want to email our entire database, but I don't want to reach, past members, or maybe it's members by status. I want to reach terminated members. And so you can add them as an exclusion list. Anyone who's in this list who is in the smart list is just going to be removed. They're going to be suppressed from this mailing. And once I'm happy with my recipients, I move on to the last tab, which is the options. This is where you can decide who's sending this email. So you can create what we call sender profiles. So if you wanted one that's just kind of the general club account, or you can create one on behalf of some of the campaigns. It's really up to you. Or you can decide it's just coming from whoever's logged in, or you can create a custom one. But we recommend, whatever makes the most sense for this email is usually a general club account. And then this is where you can enable link tracking or send a copy of this email or even add a preview text. This is what appears in your inbox before you click through. So it's sort of like a little teaser that appears before you click through the email, but that's optional. And then of course you can send right away, or you can schedule it to be sent at a future date. And then once you're happy with that, you would just click on send, and we give you one last chance to change the subject line and give you a little bit of an email summary of exactly how many people were selected, how many were excluded, who it's coming from, your attachments, and then you have a chance to change some of these options before you hit send. I won't actually send this one though. And of course, all of the statistics will be available to you. Okay, so I don't know if we want to just take a little bit of a break and see if there's any Q&A that we wanted to just quickly get to before we move on to what I wanted to show next is cloud events and donations. So if you're already familiar with cloud events and donations, I guess you can skip that last part. So, but maybe we'll just pause here and do a little Q&A. So
yeah, there's a lot of questions. I'm doing my best to kind of keep up with them, especially if they're in the chat, which is like it's just moving pretty fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, there's probably one really fantastic question. It's about pricing on everyone's mind, and I did mark it as live. So Beverly asks specifically, sorry, not relevant specifically to what we're looking at, but probably a very relevant question for everyone in the audiences. Will the annual billing change based on the number of contacts if you're combining everything together? And I think if you'd like to let me take a shot at fielding this, I want to say, as of right now, we are still planning to keep our pricing based on the individual membership groups. Contacts aren't going to be limited in the same way that they were before. There will still be fair usage limits and everything else, but you can basically think of your contacts now as an open database that you should keep adding more of your records to. And yeah, so if your club is still 30 to 40 members, then you are still a 30 to 40 member club, and that's what we're billing you for. Okay, Sarah, I don't know. We have tons of questions here.
Yeah.
And I guess first I want to say thank you everyone for all the really fantastic questions, because there has been a ton. Some of them are really, really specific to everyone's own specific situation. So we've been doing our best to try and answer some of those questions. And I just want to say across the board, anything we don't get to today, we will answer and either have a response directly for you, or it'll be part of the general FAQ that we post when we're all done.
There have been quite a few questions about CC capability in the email that is on our roadmap. However, you are going to be able to, you can always add a manual recipient. So in the email program, even though you pick a group, you can always just add one more person. So that's similar to a CC, but yeah, we also have that on our roadmap for sure. So that's on the table. There were also quite a few questions about QuickBooks. We don't have a lot of information yet as to like the full, what is involved entirely, because that's something we're working on right now. But essentially it's going to be all the commerce capabilities on Nova will interface with QuickBooks so that you could kind of do your the accounting, financial statements and reconciliation on your end, but collect, do all the invoicing and billing and refunds and financial transactions on Nova. And then hopefully the whole goal with integration is the two interface seamlessly.
Actually, we have to pivot just for a moment there. We actually had a really good question that I believe Halle actually just showed off. Someone asked, Boris specifically asked, for outgoing emails, can we have a club president, club secretary as an alias? And through the feature that Halle just showed off, those sender profiles, you can create a profile who has the correct details of the president or the secretary or the treasurer, even for that specific year. You can load up all of their details into that profile, and with appropriate permissions, the people sending emails will be able to use that sender profile to send an email as someone else. So in this case, like for our districts who often have a governor who might not be writing up their own emails, and maybe it's their executive assistant, maybe it's their personal secretary, whatever, you'd be able to give them the appropriate access. You'd be able to give them access to that sender profile, and then they'll be able to send emails as the district governor, as the president of your club, without the explicit need to log into their account. You don't need to do anything that you can just grant access to that new system.
I think a lot of the questions I'm seeing are about timing and when Nova is going to be coming in or available to clubs and districts. And I think that really depends a lot on the feedback we receive and the progress. You've seen a lot of progress since our announcements. We're targeting August, September for sort of like initial preview. And that doesn't necessarily mean you'll be able to switch entirely, but being able to at least preview what it looks like and log in and play with it. But I always like to be conservative, so it could be a little bit earlier than that, but we're really targeting the end of the year for clubs to fully switch to Nova. And that's, yeah, anytime between October and December is kind of like the target.
And there were actually also quite a few questions about migration or what's going to happen. Are you still going to be able to see the old classic ClubRunner? And so far, the plan is we're not anticipating you needed take any action on your part. The idea is that this will migrate seamlessly. You know, we really don't plan to kind of maintain two separate systems, so you can have two different. You know, you can log into old CR or Nova. That will be quite cumbersome going forward. It might be possible initially. So, you know, we don't have that fully clear now because we're still planning the migration. But so far, it doesn't look like you need any, you know, you don't need to do any action on your part. We're doing all that. Part of the reason why we're taking this time is really just to migrate the data. Otherwise, this would have been, if you know, this is actually quite available for Rotaract and fellowships and Rotary action groups and that sort of thing, because there's no migration involved.
So yeah, ideally, when we're ready to throw that switch, the day before you would have logged in, everything would look like the old ClubRunner. The next time you log in, once we've thrown the Nova switch, it will just be the new ClubRunner Nova. Your club shouldn't have to take, or district shouldn't have to take any specific action. That might not be entirely true for maybe a few of our beta testers who are really early access previewers, but generally speaking, we don't want you guys to have to do any of that work, because we know as volunteer organizations who's going to do that work, when are they going to do that work. We're just going to do all of that in the back end for you guys so that everything is ready to go when you are.
Sorry, I know it's just saw a question about member directory, and I'm trying to find the new one because I think this is the old one being linked here. But the question was, is there a visual directory that's part of Nova? And yes, and that is replacing sort of like the more, you know, PDF exportable ones.
There is a directory today. It is getting upgraded to be a little bit more featureful and look a little bit nicer.
I'll just try to find it while we're answering questions.
I don't know where it is because I know a bunch of things that I'm just gonna zip my mouth shut.
Okay, I found it. So it's actually right here under members and contacts. So this is a visual directory. This is replacing the one that I clicked on erroneously earlier. But you can see it's more of like a card view, or you can switch to a list view. And this is respecting all the privacy settings that a person has specified. And then you can also have a much more, you know, sort of like streamlined view of the profile that really is more about what a typical member would want to see for another member. So it doesn't have all of the administrative stuff, but just kind of the, you know, the high level things.
So there's actually I think there's a really great question here. So Sherry is asking, we in the past have used Eventbrite to register attendees. However, if everyone here doesn't know, Eventbrite recently changed all their fees like the last 6 months, and they really upped a lot of their costs. And for their club, it's now too expensive. I would say Cloud Events, while it isn't an exact one-to-one replacement of Eventbrite, is more than likely able to tackle most of a club's or district's event registration needs today. I would say anything that you in the past have thought about using My Event Runner for or have used My Event Runner for, Cloud Events today should take care of 99% of its use cases, and the few that are still outstanding, we're working to bring to the system. So I would say if you're using Eventbrite today, you should definitely take a look at the Cloud Events module. And while this is a Nova feature, it is available today in every single club, district, zone, Rotary or non-Rotary account. Every single one of our customers today has access to Cloud Events. There's no extra upgrades. You can go access it today. I guess there's one little minor asterisk for our few customers who have the administrative only interface. They don't have any events modules, so Cloud Events isn't there.
But it is there for light and standard. And actually, that's a really good segue. So I'll demonstrate Cloud Events next, and then I'll wrap up with the donation. So I recognize we're kind of almost at the top of the hour. So if you have to drop off, this is being recorded, but we'll continue on here and show Cloud Events. So right now we're in the 10th annual Rotary Music Fest. So this is an event that we've set up to illustrate what you can do. And so the first thing is you're really building up your landing page. And this is where you can specify the date, the time, the location, and so on. And then I can continue down this kind of this toggle area here to the next one, which is the landing page. So this is where I can put in the cover image. This is where this is what appears across the top of the page. I can add links or attachments, and then I have some additional functionality available. And the nice thing with this is I think this is something we mentioned earlier, which is unifying events, and Cloud Events is going to become the kind of predominant events piece, even if you're not using it for registration. So let's just say you've got another website you're doing registration for, you can still use this to populate and create that landing page on your site, but then the register button goes somewhere else. So then the next thing you can do is set up your tickets. And in this case, we've set up 3 types of tickets. We have an all weekend admission, Saturday only or Sunday only. So if I open one of these tickets up, you can see I can specify maximum, default price. I can even specify what date it opens. You can actually sell these tickets on or when they should close. And then after someone selects the tickets, which would really, be one per attendee, you can also have products. So in this particular case, we created parking passes, souvenir t-shirts, or even sponsorships. So the cool thing is when you're adding an event or adding a product, you can have different options. So, if I wanted to go in and say, I don't know what's better, but maybe I'll just add a bronze level. And, you can specify the code and put in, maybe this is available for $250. And you know what, we want to have a lot of options there. So that would be what you have to do. You can even put in a limit for that, and I can add the option. So it's really allowing you to customize that experience. I might want to say, look, I only want to offer this if somebody purchased an all weekend admission, and make it conditional by that ticket. So a lot of different options available here. Another thing is whenever there's an event and someone registers, it's always an opportunity to ask for additional donations. So that's an option you have. And you can customize the message that you want to show. You can switch that on or off. And then this is really just going to appear when they're in the registration process. And then you can add promo codes. So in this case, I have a 10% discount code. I might want to make it a fixed amount. I might want to apply it to select tickets only. So maybe you get a 10% off promo only for the all weekend admission. And once I've set up everything that I want from an e-commerce perspective, the next step is the form. And this is where there's an opportunity for you to ask a lot of really valuable details, not just on the order itself, but on a per attendee basis. So I can add a question. I just select what kind of type of question it is. Maybe it's a checkbox and you want to make it required where they have to agree to, you know, some terms and conditions. But you can also make questions conditional by a product. And once I've specified my form, the last thing here is the settings. So this is where you can decide which payment account you're using. So you can see here PayPal and Stripe are available. I can also allow offline payments. So maybe you want to put in some instructions. If you don't necessarily want to transact on an e-commerce site, you can always just have a link somewhere. And then the other thing that you could do, actually, I kind of skipped through this. This is something that's coming up very soon, is the ability to add a service fee. So the next phase will be making it an option by the purchaser to decide if they do want to pay the service fee. But in this case, you might say, we want to actually recover, you know, 3% plus $1 for every purchase, and that will automatically be added to the checkout page. And once you've done that, you would be able to view what that looks like on your website. So there's my cover image. This is all the information I added. I have my organizers there, the links and download files. And when someone goes to register, they just click on this register button and all of the options are here. So I might want to buy 2 all weekend admissions. I'm going to go ahead and get, this was conditional. This parking pass was conditional only on all weekend pass. So that's why I'm only seeing that one. And let me go ahead and purchase a large t-shirt, an extra large t-shirt. Your sponsorships also can appear here. And then you might want to do an additional donation. And when you proceed to checkout, it will summarize everything for you on the next screen. So you can see the summary of the charges. This is where you can add a promo code and then start to, you know, collect all of this information, the questions that were asked by the person. And I just use USD as the currency setting for this event, but you can actually have different currencies for different events. And if you don't see your currency in the list, just get in touch with us. And this is where you can go in and put your credit card information. Because I selected Stripe, this is the Stripe field here, and then submit. And this is really what generates that order for this person. It pre-populated Grace Allen because I'm logged in as Grace Allen. But if I wasn't logged in, it's not a requirement. You can just have people type in their information. And we covered this in the May 1st demo, but it's really cool because we see the different ways clubs have used this. You know, a club in Texas used it for their flag program, or I've seen, you know, a poker tournament. You can even also use it to, you know, sell your peaches, you know, or like if you've got strawberry baskets or anything like that, you could adapt it to that. We are working on some things where we can tailor the wording a little bit, so it doesn't necessarily have to say register or tickets. But again, this is all thanks to all of the feedback after we launched. And then of course, I saw the dashboard earlier where you could see all of your information, but then you can always come in here and take a look at orders. I can always click through an order and see the purchase that was made and any payments associated with it. I can also take a look at the attendees, and this is where you can also have the check-in status. So if it is an event that you want to be able to track who actually showed up or not, you can also, you know, mark them as checked in or not checked in. And that way, that would also update their engagement reports for that particular person. And notice that it's not always necessarily a member. You could have a guest, and this is going to be attached to their contact record. So again, you don't have to worry about where they exist in the system. They are just a person's record, and then whatever engagement happens on ClubRunner will be tied nicely into that particular person's record. Of course,
Halle, while you're on that page, speaking of checking in, maybe you could show the ticket, because eventually you'll also be able to check in by scanning their ticket.
Yeah, so I can download a ticket. Take a look at that. Yeah, so it'll generate this this ticket for you. And hold on, just my Adobe is opening up. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so that way they can get scanned in a future release.
Mhm.
And then the bulk actions are also available here. So I can select a bunch of people, make some edits. I could do an email, I can do an export. So try to make it as easy as possible to manage your data and get it out of the system as well. And then of course the email tab is here. So if you wanted to send an email to everybody who registered for this event, I can do that in this particular area. I'll be able to access some templates, or I can just type the message directly. But then you'll notice that the recipients are relating more to the order. So I can go all attendees by ticket. I can also send something to everybody who made a donation. And then I can also tailor to the way that they answered certain questions. So you can see some of this is available in my Event Runner, but it's just a much more updated product. And there's additional functionality that my Event Runner doesn't have. So that's the email system. And then little things like having a documents folder to store documents relating to the management of that event or the organization. So again, trying to find ways so that you're not losing history, or trying to make it easier for the person in charge of this event when it's time to have the 11th annual Rotary Music Fest is, you know, what are all of the venue points of contact? What was our AV order? What did we do for, you know, the form that we wanted to get vendors to fill out in order to apply to the Music Fest? That's all available here. And then you can easily go through and, you know, store your information in the documents area. And you'll notice this is an upgraded documents module. So it looks a little bit different from what you've seen before in ClubRunner. And this is going to slowly take over as the document repository. Great. So that's that was a really quick overview. We typically have a whole webinar dedicated to cloud events, but I just want to kind of give the highlights here so that you can kind of see some of the benefits. And this is available today on your ClubRunner account, but it's on the new system. I just saw a question now about can cloud events be used for a raffle? I don't see why not. If you're looking to just sell tickets and you've got a certain amount, like 100 or 200, you can set that as the limit and then be able to sell it online. So yeah, I would definitely, perhaps like to actually draw the numbers, I would export that data and then find, you know, someone authorized to decide on the winner, but being able to actually transact and sell the tickets, yes, you could use the cloud events for that. I don't see why you couldn't. Did we want to answer any questions about cloud events before I moved on to donations?
Yeah, there's quite a bit actually, but I think we've been addressing most of them. So
Okay.
hopefully, and of course, we'll be sharing the chat log and the Q&A with everybody. But
I do
think we
see
can
some
take that
people
time to look
raising
at-
hands. I don't have the ability to open up the microphone for those. So if you're raising your hand, if you don't mind, just use the Q&A to put your question in there. And then even if we can't address it live, we'll address it in a follow-up email. Okay, so I'm going to move on to donations. So donations, again, is something that you have available today, but it's on the Nova platform. It's part of the new infrastructure. And when you go into your donation analytics, I'd like to start off with this page actually. It gives you a really good overview of how many donations you've done in the year, what campaigns are doing the best. So in this case, I can see the breakdown. And remember, a campaign is anything that it's just a bucket that you create. So you can have general donations or you could create something specific. And then I can always go in and drill down into a specific campaign and see the analytics there and be able to see who were the top donors, some of the recent donations that were made. I can click through and take a look at that data in a closer way. So the one thing I did want to mention is that the donations will be linked to the member profiles or the contact profiles. They're not as of this moment, but that's going to happen. So again, very similar to event registrations, you don't have to go and hunt for the data. You can take a look at a person and see all of the activities and the engagement that they've done right there in their profile. But yeah, in this case here, I can go in and I can say, show me every donation for Codes for Kids, or I can search for someone specific and be able to export the data or send an email. If I do send an email, it's that same pop-up that we've seen everywhere. So just really easy to go in and just send a quick note, quick update. Hey, we just delivered all the codes. We really appreciate your support. Here's a photo of some of our members doing this. And I think that's really the key to being able to kind of create that connection. But if I just go back to the donations dashboard, I'll just show you how you could create donation. And again, a lot of this navigation still hasn't been fully ironed out, but we're working on it and it'll be good. So if I go to the donation campaign list, this is what they look like right now. So why don't I edit Codes for Kids and see what that setup looks like. So I have my title, and because this creates a landing page, I should probably go and take a look at that as well. You can have a permalink, which is really what the URL is going to say. It's really important to make sure that that's similar to your title. So for SEO purposes, I can have an image, and then I can decide to show or display like things like the total donation amount, how many people donated to this campaign, and then even allowing the donors to make comments required if you wanted to even make it required. And then the available amount. So these are suggested values. So maybe you don't want to necessarily have possibly donate $5. Maybe you just say, you know what, I only want to make $10, $25 and all of this. But of course, you could also enable a free form amount. So someone can type in what they want to donate. Again, you can decide which payment account you use. So maybe for this one, I've got a PayPal account set up, or maybe it's a PayPal account for partnering club in another country and they've set it up and it's an entirely different currency. So you can add that to your account and then be able to link it to this campaign. And that way the funds would go directly there. So it doesn't all have to funnel into your own club account or bank account. And then the really neat thing is you can use a default message or you can customize it. And, this is where you can say, thank you on behalf of Codes for Kids, thank you for your generous gift. Click here to follow us on Facebook and follow the progress of where your donation is going. And really kind of create, again, that engagement, that connection. It's not all generic. We're trying to make things as personalized as possible. And then you can also send a confirmation email. And this is where you can get really creative and you can create different email templates. So we obviously always will have defaults. So our goal is not to make this something you have to spend a lot of time setting up. We will always have some defaults, but this is basically what email do you want to send to somebody after they've done this donation or a donation in general. And if you wanted to take a look at all of the donate page. So this is kind of like the general donation. We didn't add an image here, but you can just imagine. You can have all of your images here as well. And if I wanted to, these are all the settings that we specified. So again, you don't have to publicize how much was raised or how many donors there were, but that's an option you can set up per campaign. And when someone wants to donate, they can just click that. These are all the payment options. I didn't hit save, so that $5 option is still there. But these are all the options they have, so they can just select it, or they can put in their own amount. And then when they're ready, they can just click donate. And then this is going to take couple of seconds, just making sure I'm human. And then that goes to the checkout page. And this is where you would put in, so because I'm logged in as Grace, it pre-populated the donor information there. But if this is a member of the public, they would put in their name and email. And the goal with this is that this will generate a contact right away with the donor tag already created, with this particular donation attached to their profile records. So you don't have to go out of your way to really make sure your data is in a good state. We want to make sure that the system does that for you seamlessly. So yeah, and then this is just telling me that I'm in test mode, so I can't process a payment, but once they put in their credit card information, then that should be good to go. And again, with all of your donations, you can always access your reports. If I wanted to take a look at every single donation that was made in the system, I can do that, whether it was done through the donations module or whether it was part of an event, it'll appear there. And then that's also going to be possible down the road, not for a while, but down the road for your dues. So if you want to have enable an optional donation, that will also be there as a dues order type. And then you can always filter, and you could, select based on the event, based on the campaign, and so on. So that was a quick run through of the donations module. And I'll just go back here and see if there's anything else that I missed. Now, we did mention earlier in the slides that we want to come up with some really good page templates and bulletin templates to help with branding. I'm just going to take a few more minutes and show that next. And maybe what I'll do is I'll go to bulletins. So bulletins is what you have today. You can see that here. And I'm going to go ahead and open this one here, which is our welcome our new members. I'll show the new templates in a bit. They're still a work in progress. One of the things we want to do is make sure that RI's branding team takes a look, make sure that everything is compliant. And once they've given the nod of approval, they'll be uploaded to ClubRunner. But this is the Live Designer. And we mentioned, some neat updates to the editor. So this is a brand new HTML editor that's going to be part of Nova. And this is the new image editor. So we mentioned this before, let's say you uploaded a picture and, it was sideways, or you need to crop it or do anything, the edit functionality is built right into your editor here. So if I wanted to crop this image, I can do that. I can go ahead and say, you know what, this is better here. Rotating is also possible. If this is something that, you uploaded and didn't come out right, you could do that. You can do some, various adjustments as well. But once you've done that, then you can go ahead and save, and it'll save right into wherever you are. So I won't actually save it here. But once you've done all of that, you can just continue. It's pretty much the same. Go into the preview, and then when you go into send, it's going to be the same new recipient list that you've seen before. So I make sure everything looks good here, and then I go ahead and go to the send screen. And these are the same smart lists that we had from before. So you can quickly select who you want to receive this. Maybe I'll say all members and have that, and then go ahead and send. So I'll go back really quickly here and just take a look at the create bulletin for 1 second. So this is where you're going to see all of the new templates. So again, this is still a work in progress. Not going to be something that we launch overnight, but something we want to make sure is vetted. And the nice thing is you can take an existing template and create your own and personalize it. And then it will appear under my templates so that you don't have to keep creating it from scratch. And this is something that you have available today. So the change will come in from the new templates that are available. Okay. Sarah, was there something you wanted to to add to this?
Yeah, no, I think that covers most of it. I know because we're running over time. I think maybe we should wrap up. I just feel bad because there's still 124 open questions. So we're not going to address all of them right now, but for sure we are definitely going to answer all of the questions, and then you'll get a follow-up package with the slides. Somebody asked if they can have a copy of the slides. You will get that in a PDF format. And you will also get a transcript of the chat and the Q&A for you. So all that will be posted shortly. Give us a few days to do that.
Yeah,
but,
and very similar to the bulletin templates, I just wanted to add the page templates will also see some nicely designed items there. So you can select one and then you can continue. And then that's where you can create and customize and be able to publish pages very easily. I wasn't ready for prime time. All right. Great. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending our webinar. So I wanted to actually just mention a couple of housekeeping items just to kind of, before we do wrap up the session. Let's see, here.
Yeah, and we actually also, I just want to call out to we'd love getting your feedback. It's so important for us to shape our roadmap in terms of some of the ways that you want features, the direction the product to go in. And if you haven't already, please check out the community and feel free to start discussions there. Halle and I will be closely, and everybody on the team at ClubRunner will be closely monitoring the community to get involved in the discussion there if you want to ask questions there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think you have a slide for all of those, Halle, right?
I do, yeah. So I just wanted to quickly just wrap up and sort of explain what's on the horizon. So what's coming next. So what we showed you was really the foundational aspects of Nova, the database, the new database, and some of the functionality in the UI. What we're going to be able to build very rapidly on top of this new platform is a revamped grants workflow. Things like a speaker database, and then we kind of gave you a little glimpse of the new member onboarding, so the tasks, and also the ability to have forms and workflows. So things like youth service applications, very similar to what we did with membership success, which is going to be integrated into Nova. And that's something that we're really excited to work with our beta group on. So really encourage everybody to join. If you're interested in being kind of the first to know about these updates, is join our championship and beta group, and perhaps
and just to cut in, I know there's a couple of people who said that they've joined and they haven't heard yet. Yeah, we haven't started the Nova evaluation, but you will be hearing from us soon. So in case you're wondering why you haven't heard from us, but if you haven't requested already, please do that. So even though Nova is going to be released generally at the towards the end of the year, we do want to make it available first as a sandbox access as soon as possible, but then eventually also conditionally for people in the beta group so that you work on it more day to day and evaluate it for us.
Maybe what, Zach, if you don't mind putting the link to this beta group sign up form on the chat, that would be great. And we'll put that in the email as well. And the community, as Sarah mentioned, is really where we're going to be posting a lot of information. So this is clubrunnercommunity.com, and that would be a great place to also access recordings when they're available. We'll do our best to make all of the Changeover webinar recordings available very soon. Our support resources, clubrunnersupport.com. I always like to remind everybody what is available to you and ways to contact us. So you can email us, you can phone us. These are all the different channels. And I like to wrap things up by saying reminding you what our promise is to you. We remain as committed as ever to delivering world-class software to Rotary clubs and districts backed by excellent customer service. And that's something that we work tirelessly for every day. And that's something that I hope that you felt today as we showed you the first glimpse of what the new ClubRunner looks like. And yeah, and thank you very much for all of your attention today. So yeah.
Thank you very much. And we'll be receiving a follow-up package for everyone. And yes, if you have any feedback that you haven't shared in the chat or the Q&A, please let us know what's good, what isn't, what you would like to see. The product team does take all that feedback to heart.
Zach, was there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, just thank you everybody for all your time today. We appreciate you choosing to spend your time and learning about our software, and it's wonderful, all of your feedback. Like, I know we didn't get to everything, but I saw a lot of amazing suggestions in there. Some things that might be coming, some things that I don't think we've thought about yet, and really, we appreciate all that feedback and insight. Without you, there isn't a ClubRunner.
Exactly. And on that note, thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.